Welcome back to TheWindowDog.com. Today is Window Wednesday, everybody's favorite day of the week. Our topic for today is home improvement sales pricing and why a lot of companies will use today-only pricing strategies. You'll very often hear about the super special sale that you only get if you buy today, Mrs. Jones, and you wouldn't want to let a sale like this get away, now would you? So we're going to show you why companies price their products this way. There's really only one reason. We're also going to look at why they say they price their products that way, which is different, and I think that's an important distinction to understand. And then at the end, I'm going to give you two insider tips. One is how to avoid a company like this in the first place. I've got a little trick that's going to do that every time. And then I'm going to tell you how to get the best possible pricing out of them if you decide you still want to work with them, which is not typically recommended, but hey, you're an adult, you can make your own choices. So here we go. All right, so before we get started, if you don't know me already, my name's Dan Schweiss. My company is Window Universe, the easiest way to get new windows for your house. And my website is TheWindowDog.com, which is the greatest resource for replacement window information on the entire internet. You'll find links to both of those things below. If my company doesn't offer windows in your area, the chances are we may know somebody to recommend, so you'll find all that information on the site, and I hope you find it to be worthwhile. So today's topic is today-only window prices. Why would a company do that? What's their reasoning behind their system? It's obviously not an accident. They've got a whole system in place. They're doing this every day with every person they meet, but the question is why? So we're going to look at that. The main reason really is that they don't offer a very good deal. Now this isn't something they'll tell you. We're going to get into why they would say they do it in just a minute, but the truth of the matter is they've got a bad deal. You just have to let this sink into your brain because it's hard for people to accept. But think about it this way. They know what they offer. They know what their prices are. They know what their products are like. And they also know what everybody else in town is doing. Now there's a lot of competition in the window business. In any town, there's a lot of companies offering a lot of different products. It's a very diverse business, maybe you could say. So there's people at all different price points and all different quality levels. So there is a company out there with the single worst deal in town. That company exists, and frankly, they probably know who they are. So they know if they're offering the worst possible deal in town, the single worst, that nobody in their right mind would ever buy it. And if nobody buys it, they go out of business, the guy can't make his boat payment, that's no fun for him. So he's got to find a way to get you to buy the very worst deal in town. How is he going to do that? Well, he's got to tell you a pretty compelling story. You see, people are generally risk-averse when it comes to these things, right? People aren't likely to just go out and sign a $20,000 check an hour after they met somebody. That's not very common. But he knows if he gives you time to think it over and to look it around, you're going to discover that there are better options. Now, you may not discover that he is the very worst deal in town, but you will discover that he's not the best, and you won't sign up for his services, right? So then he doesn't make any money and he can't make his boat payment. Problem. So he's got to find a way to get you to overcome this natural human hesitancy and sign that contract. And the way he finds to do it is with a huge sale, gigantic, probably the biggest sale you've ever heard of in your whole life, right? So it's going to be windows that were originally $2,500 a window or $3,000 or $4,000 a window. You know, he'll write you up an order, oh, it's $20,000 or 20 windows, I should say, and the price is $80,000. You'll think, holy smokes, $80,000. You tell him, thanks for your time, have a great day. And he says, oh no, Mrs. Jones, I haven't gotten to the best part. The normal price is $80,000. That's not the price that we were going to charge you today. And you say, oh, well, you better not because I'm not paying $80,000. And then he says, oh no, of course. And I wouldn't ask you to. I was just showing you what the normal price for these products is, the price that a lot of people do pay. But you're in luck, Mrs. Jones, because today is part of our President's Day sale. Or today, we're running a promotion. We want to put out a model house in this neighborhood so that we can show all the other folks in the neighborhood how beautiful our windows are. They would pay the normal price, but you, Mrs. Jones, if you'd like, you could be our model house. You could only pay a fraction of the normal price in order for doing that. Is that something you'd be interested in? And of course, you might say, well, I guess I'd look at what it would cost. And you'd say, okay, I thought you would say that, so let me show you how it works. And he rolls right into his story. Now, he's smooth. The guys that do this are good, right? So he's going to roll right into his story about how we've noticed that the average house in your neighborhood has 35 windows, and the average age of a house in your neighborhood is 25 years old or whatever. So this is a prime target market for us. So what we're going to do, if you'd like to be the model home, we'll probably take professional photos. Maybe we'll put it in the brochure or the website. He'll promise you anything. And in return for all that, we could offer you these windows at 75% off. Is that a bargain? Is that the kind of deal that you might be willing to take advantage of? You'd say, well, that sure sounds a lot better than $80,000. Well, notice 75% off of $80,000, if I'm doing my math right, is just $20,000 that you'd be paying for 20 windows. Well, that's still not a great deal in most cases. $1,000 a window for vinyl windows is not a bargain, but it sure sounds like it is because it's 75% off, right? That's a smoking great deal. The only trick is we only need one model house in the neighborhood, and we're meeting with a couple of your neighbors over the next couple of days. So if you'd like to be the model house, we would need to get your order in, tonight. So that way I could turn it in at 8 a.m. right when the office opens, and we'll have your spot locked in as the model house for the neighborhood. And you'd think, oh, well, shoot, I don't want to miss out on a sale like that, but I can't, spending $20,000, I don't even know about these windows. So he goes right back into his sales pitch, he tells you about the products again, and then he goes back to the close and tries to get you to sign that contract. And if you say, no, you're still unsure, he'll go right back to the sales pitch, he'll tell you all about it again, and if you're not sure then, he'll call the manager, and finally, either you're going to kick him out of your house or you're going to buy the windows. That's just how they do it. Now you might ask yourself, why do they need to make the discounts that big and the pricing so artificial? And really the reason has to do with our human evolution from caveman days. You see, imagine way back in the day, there's two cavemen sitting in the bushes, and they look out across this meadow and they see a tree with a big juicy apple hanging from the branch. Well, the impulsive caveman jumps up and says, ooh, apple, me get. And he runs across the field and he gets eaten by the lion that was sitting on the other side. He's dead, he doesn't have any babies, and that impulsive behavior doesn't get passed along. Well, the more responsible caveman sits there in the bushes and says, oh, that apple looks delicious, but I just saw my friend get eaten by the lion. I'm going to wait until that lion leaves. I might sit here until it's dark or whatever. Lion walks away. I'm going to get that apple. The responsible, cautious salesman is the one who gets the apple, has lots of babies, and that trait gets passed along through the millennia to today. So generally speaking, a small discount or something little isn't going to be enough to get you to jump out of those bushes and sign on the dotted line for $20,000 or whatever it is. It's got to be something big. It's got to be real big. And that's why they'll do it that way. It's going to be 75% off or half off, but you'll see ads, for buy two get one free or that kind of thing. It's all part of the same shtick, trying to get you off the edge and get you to commit. And they've got to do something big in order to get you to do it. So now, why do the window company salesmen and window company owners say that they do it that way, right? Because they don't tell you that they're offering a bad deal and they want to get you to sign up. They'll have a more sort of heartwarming reason. And you can see this on our website. There's a couple of pages that tend to get a lot of comments from window salespeople. And those are my favorite sections of the whole website. Because the window salespeople, and they're talking to me generally, so they're talking to somebody else in the industry. So it's not the way they would explain this to a customer, it's the way they explain it to me, another window company owner. A lot of times they'll tell me about how stupid I am and what a moron I am and that sort of thing. And that goes with the territory. But also you'll see them say that if the customer doesn't sign up right away, they're never going to call us back. They never place an order. They just shop around forever, and they're never able to make a decision. We know that we've got a great deal, and we've just got to convince them and get them to, commit and do it. Otherwise, they're just going to sit around forever and never buy windows. And they'll say something like that. Well, frankly, that's not true, but it might feel that way to that window salesman because it is true that the customer's never going to call him back. That customer is going to shop around, they're going to get another quote or two, they're going to find out that somebody else has a better deal, and they're going to buy windows from that guy instead, so they never call the first guy back. So the first guy thinks, man, if I don't get these people to sign up right away, they're never going to call me back. So it's true that he feels that way, but his reasoning for why that is true is usually completely wrong. Generally, it's because he's got a bad deal, and you're not a dummy. You figure that out, so you don't call him back, so he doesn't make any money, so he can't make his boat payment. Problem. Right? So that's generally what's going on with these things. Now, I told you I was going to give you 2 cool tricks. One of them has to do with how to avoid this type of company in the first place. The easiest way to do that is when you're scheduling a visit from an in-home salesperson, if you want to have an in-home salesperson over at all, when you're scheduling that visit, tell them that your wife or your husband is not going to be there and see what they say. And if they say, oh, we can't come over unless you're both there, just say, thanks for your time, have a great day. We'll call back when we know our schedule. Because that is telling you that they're going to give you the hard sell. That's why they want both of you to be there. Now, they won't tell you that. Remember, they're always going to have a reasonable sounding explanation for everything they do. So they're going to say, oh, we need to have all the homeowners present. I've even heard companies tell people it's illegal to meet with one half of the homeowners, or it's they'll tell people about a lawsuit that's gone on before, which is false. I heard of somebody telling a customer that at a home and garden show in Indiana a couple of years ago. I got a kick out of that one. So they'll always have a reasonable sounding reason, but the truth of the matter is, if they're going to insist that all of the homeowners be present for their window show, you should just skip this appointment altogether. Now, they may suggest that everybody who's interested is there, and there's nothing wrong with that. When we did more in-home sales back in the day, we would suggest that everybody's there, because what would happen is we would meet with one party, and then we would get a call the next day from the other party with all the same questions that we'd already discussed. So it is absolutely easier if everybody who's interested in this project is present, so we can talk it over, answer everybody's questions, all that sorts of thing. So if they suggest that, that's fine. I wouldn't count that as a big red flag. But if you say, hey, my wife's not involved, she doesn't care about the windows, I'm picking out the windows, so I want to meet with your guy and get a quote, and they say, forget about it, we will not come over, skip that company. It's a surefire sign that you're going to get the hard sell with the today only price. I guarantee it. If you do it anyway and I was wrong, post a comment below and tell me about how wrong I was, but I promise I am not. So the next insider trick is how to get the best possible pricing out of these companies. And the way to do this is to say no over and over and over again. They're going to call the manager. They're going to try to get the special price. They like to never leave a house without either getting a sale or getting you mad at them, because they know they haven't pushed it all the way until you're irritated with them. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to keep saying, they're going to keep calling the boss or keep working out some special financing or whatever the case is. You just keep saying no all the way till they leave the house, and then watch what happens. The very next day, a manager is going to call you back with an even lower price. I guarantee it. That's how these companies operate. They call this person in the industry, they call him a rehash manager, because he's rehashing these unsold leads. He'll either be the very following day or within 2 or 3 days of when that salesman's left. The reason that works is because very frequently the customer who's gone through that process will think that the windows were fantastic, but the salesman was a complete jerk. That's common. That's the way everybody feels. And that's because you just got a 3-hour sales pitch on these windows. The guy went through everything. Now, a lot of it might have not been true, but he went through everything. He talked about titanium in the glass and all the layers of low E and krypton gas and reinforcement bars and foam insulation everywhere. So he'll tell you all about this stuff, and you'll think, man, these windows sound killer. Like, these sound really great. And obviously that's that guy's job, to try to make those windows sound as fantastic as he can. But his pricing was annoying, his calling the manager, his stupid discounts, and you thought, I hate that guy. That guy's annoying. I don't want to buy windows from that guy, but the windows are fantastic. So that's how you feel at the end of this process. So when that manager calls you the next day or 2 days later, what he's going to say is, hey, I noticed you met with Johnny yesterday and you didn't place an order, and that's totally fine. I just wanted to let you know we've got a new product coming out that Johnny isn't aware of. We're not actually telling the guys until the sales meeting next week, but I figured I'd give you a call because I saw that you didn't place an order, and Johnny had mentioned that the pricing was an issue. It wasn't really fitting into your budget. So I thought, hey, let me tell Mrs. Jones about this new product we have coming out that's a little bit lower price. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing about? And then what he's going to try to do is roll you right into another sales appointment. And that's what happens. They'll come out, schedule another sales appointment, send another guy over to do the same thing, drop the price over and over again, tell you about the different special sale, try to close the deal again. Now, the reason these companies do this is because their initial close rate is generally not very high. Now, they'll brag about, 90% of people I meet with place windows or place orders. That's not true. But let's say they sell 20 or 30% of the people they meet with. So in a year, maybe they have 1,000 leads, 1,000 potential customers. 30% of them buy. That means 700 of them didn't buy. If they can get even 10% of those 700 to buy through their rehash program, and say they make, I don't know, these guys are pretty high priced, say they make $5,000 profit per order, maybe it's a little more, a little less, but let's just say, if they got 10% of those 700, that's 70 people to buy at a $5,000 profit per project, by my math, I think that's $350,000 in profit to the company. Now maybe they paid that manager $100,000 to do that, because it takes a pretty smooth talker to do that, so that's maybe that's a $100,000 job. That leaves $250,000 in profit to the company by selling these rehash leads. So I don't recommend buying from these type of companies at any price. It's like the same reason you don't feed the wild animals when you go to Yellowstone Park. It just encourages them to do this. It encourages bad behavior. But if you're in love with these windows and you think it's the greatest thing ever and you want to deal with these guys, knock yourself out. My advice to you is don't buy at any price the first day. Wait for them to call you back with a special sale. I promise you they will, and you're going to save even more. Now, up to you if you buy it, but I promise you that's what's going to happen. So that's kind of the story on the today only window pricing. The only reason is because it's not a great deal and they're afraid you're going to find out. And then that's kind of how they operate with the rehash program and the predetermined price drops and all that stuff. Now we've got a lot of cool videos coming out. One is going to be very soon, a trick of how to use a lighter, if it works, how to use a lighter to tell if your window has low E glass. We get a lot of inquiries from people asking about whether or not the salesman that they bought from actually delivered and they got the products they thought. One easy way to tell if you have low E glass is with a normal lighter. We're going to show you that in a couple of days. We've also got some new videos coming out about condensation on your windows and how to avoid it and how to tell if it's a problem. And we're going to look at ways to troubleshoot some common window problems so you can maybe fix an easy problem yourself. So a lot of cool new stuff coming out. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and give us a thumbs up if you like this stuff. We do appreciate that. And we will see you guys next week.